Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So within today's video, we are going to be talking about the match between Barcelona and Villarreal. We have already played against this team, so it should be a very interesting game because I know that Xavi Hernandez and Barcelona are very well equipped on how they're going to be tackling this game because we have been successful against this team already. So I hope you guys are having a great weekend. I hope everyone is doing well in regards to like your jobs or your school. Again, I hope that you guys are having a great time right now. I don't know how many people are from the US, but if you guys are going to be watching the game between Barcelona and Villarreal, like 2 or 3 hours later, the Super Bowl is also going to be starting. So we're going to be watching a total of 2 games within a span of 6 hours. So it's going to be a very compact Sunday for everybody here in the US. I don't know how many people out there in Europe or just outside of the US watch American football, but it's an amazing time to be alive right now, right? And I hope that everybody here is having a blissful day. But let's get serious and let's talk about Barcelona versus Villarreal. Hopefully, by the time this game is over, Barcelona is 11 points ahead of Real Madrid, and it stays that way because by that time, when Barcelona and Villarreal do finish playing, Real Madrid do have to play one more game in order to equal Barcelona in matches played. But hopefully, right, Real Madrid do lose because we want to see Barcelona be 11 points ahead of the second place team in La Liga. How amazing would that be? Now, Barcelona is in a very special place. Right now, we are unbeatable and we look unbeatable. And I feel like it's going to be like that until the end of this season. But there are certain things that many of us do want to see, right? Like we are seeing a great squad, but right now we are in that situation where we're kind of being like, I want to tweak that certain thing, or could we maybe change a certain player involvement during the matches? And you guys are going to be knowing exactly what I do mean by this as we go through this video, because I do want to make one very important point. But right now we're kind of being spoiled in a way because we want to see many things play out in this Barcelona squad. We want everybody to flourish, but there has been certain players that have not flourished yet. And again, I know this does sound very confusing, but I will talk about this in about a couple of minutes. But first, I do want to speak about the general preview of Villarreal and FC Barcelona, because Barcelona is going to be playing away. I do expect Villarreal to bring a very difficult game because look, they defend very well. They are leveled with Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid in terms of goals conceded. Obviously, Barcelona is in first place when it comes to goals conceded, but in the second place of goals conceded, it is Real Madrid, Villarreal, and Atletico Madrid. All of them do concede a total of 0.9. And so because Villarreal does have players like Mojica, Cuenca, Albiol, and Foyth, these players are the reason why Villarreal have been able to have great defensive performances. But we also have to note out one more thing. Villarreal is also a team, unlike Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, that do have a lot of trouble scoring. Right now, they average a total of 1.1 goals per 90 minutes, which is honestly not the very best. And they're also not in the best form right now, and especially within the past 4 games. Like in the past 4 games, they have only been able to win 1. And within those 4 games, they have only scored 3 goals. And that is what I mean by Villarreal being a great defensive team, but they have a lot of trouble scoring. And that's probably what we are going to be seeing on that night when we do face them away from home. Villarreal are going to be defending so aggressively. It is going to be one of those games like how we faced Osasuna, how we faced Sevilla, where things are going to be very complicated because we are going to be seeing a very deep block. But just because Villarreal is going to be at home, I do think that Villarreal will eventually want to counterattack because they, again, you know, they're at home and they want to counterattack and they want to score goals out of respect for their fans. So we should expect to see Villarreal defend on a deep block. And if Barcelona lose the ball while they are attacking Villarreal, we know how they play. They're going to want to receive it and then make a long pass to one of the wingers and again go on the counter attack, something that we have to be very careful with because that is something that Quique Setién likes to do with his team. And you can even see the examples on how Villarreal did attack Real Madrid in their past 2 meetings. One was in the Copa del Rey and one was in La Liga. Real Madrid were suffering. But to be very honest, looking at who Barcelona is today and their defense, I just feel like deep down Xavi Hernandez is going to prefer to have these players like Villarreal to counterattack them. And the reason why I'm saying that is because Xavi Hernandez knows that his backline loves to defend those counterattacks. When the opposition is making those long passes and they have the wingers running, players like Araujo, Alejandro Balde, Koundé, Christensen, they love being in situations like that. They love doing that. The Barcelona of before, like 2 or 3 years ago when we had Lenglet, Piqué, Mingueza, and Serginho Dest, that was a defense that was so not comfortable being counterattacked and leaving hella space behind. But this defense that we have under Xavi currently, they would welcome that type of game. And because Barcelona is so comfortable on letting that happen, that is where Barcelona do win the game because they're going to be gaining the ball. They're going to be taking the ball away from the opposition, leaving Villarreal in a very bad defensive shape when they do lose the ball on the counter. And then that is where we can counter and take up those spaces and have players like Frankie, Pedri, Gavi, Rafinha, Ansu Fati, Lewandowski, Ferran Torres do their thing. And so the game is going to be won, in my opinion, on the wings. We need to have fast wingers to counterattack Villarreal's bad defensive shape when they try to counterattack us, and also because when we face those deep blocks and we carry the ball on their hands, have, those wingers have to be so efficient and they're going to have to make great crosses so Lewandowski can find those goals, which is going to lead me towards a point that I have been wanting to talk about, and that is Ansu Fati, right? Ansu Fati has to start. And I know, like I have said in the beginning of this video, everything is working out so perfectly. We know that Barcelona is an amazing squad today, and we know that they could win many difficult games and beat one of the biggest teams in the world. And that is why I do say that in some way we are kind of spoiled, because we want to see even further things that would really satisfy us. And one of those things is Ansu Fati starting and scoring goals. Like, we know that having 4 midfielders in our squad works tremendously well. Like, why would we want to change that? But deep down inside of us, we want to see Ansu Fati be in the mix of this momentum that we are bringing in on the field. There are many reasons on why Ansu Fati should be starting against Villarreal. Point number 1, like I've said, we need to win on the wings. Point number 2, we need goal scorers in that front 3. Ansu Fati is a definitive goal scorer. We have seen that before. And point number 3, this conversation about Ansu Fati potentially leaving Barcelona in this coming summer, it needs to leave. We no longer talk about Ansu Fati maybe leaving for like 110 million euros. I don't want to hear that anymore. I don't want to hear that on Twitter. I don't want to hear that on Instagram. Like, to be honest, I'm really tired of hearing that Ansu Fati's name is being used as like a way for Barcelona to gain funds. Like, that's very difficult to hear. Ansu Fati deserves way more than that. He deserves to be a starter. He deserves to be scoring goals with Barcelona. He deserves to win trophies under this great Barcelona team. He was the one that started it all. He was the one that made us believe that yes, a brand new dynasty is coming. He was literally the first player, and then came players like Pedri, and then we saw Alejandro Balde, and then we saw Araujo. Ansu Fati was the starter of this, and he has to take part of this big picture. But look, this is where things get very complicated, and I have referenced this before. Xavi knows that his best squad does require a 4-man midfield. That is the best, and I think that you and me can agree on that. We have to be very transparent here. Barcelona, at their highest level, does have 4 midfield. We have control of the game. We have the most creativity. We control the tempo of the game. We can do everything ourselves and dominate any opposition. Xavi knows that he loves this because he has lived this before. Even Quique Setién, earlier today, during the pre-match press conference, he did say this: there's a part of football that people don't see, and that is when the team doesn't have the ball. Barcelona have the speed and intensity to win the ball back as soon as possible, and that's what makes them so difficult to face. And so everybody knows this. The opposition knows this. Everybody knows, and the world knows how great Barcelona is when Xavi places his best possible 11. And I think that there is a 70% chance, as much as this does hurt, that we will be seeing Gavi on the left side with Pedri, Frankie, and Kessie, since Sergio Busquets is not going to be there. But here's the thing though, right? Like, I think that we should be giving Ansu Fati a chance. It does say here, according to Samuel, that the internal medical tests have taken place at Barcelona, from which the results prove that Ansu Fati, right? This is proven that Ansu Fati is now fully fit. The same test indicates he's quicker, more resistant, and in better shape than ever before. And the fact that we're hearing this, the fact that we're hearing that Ansu Fati is fit than ever before, we should be seeing an Ansu Fati that can score a goal every 90 minutes or maybe even more. I just feel like Ansu Fati, when he's on the pitch and he has the ball, he gets nervous on the ball, like he's afraid to get injured. That is just my biggest feeling and my biggest fear, and I want him to overcome that type of mental obstacle, because Messi went through that. Both Ronaldos, like Brazilian Ronaldo and the Portuguese Ronaldo, they went through that. They went through very serious injuries, but they were able to come out on top a few months later. The same thing happened with Dembele. Dembele was getting 2 to 3 injuries every season since he did came back in 2017, and now look at who Dembele is today. He barely does get injured. I mean, he's injured right now, but as soon as he does come back after being consistent for like a year and a half when Xavi took over, the next time Dembele gets injured after this will be probably in 2025 or something. But that is a massive improvement compared to where he did come from in his first 2 or 3 years, and Ansu Fati has to see that. And so look, the best decision now, and I'm just gonna assume that this is probably what's gonna happen, is that we're probably going to be seeing 4 midfielders start. But the best case scenario for Ansu would be for him to finish the last 25 minutes, and we finish with a midfield of Frankie, Gavi, and Pedri. 3 total midfielders. There has been other reports also backing the fact that we're probably going to be seeing 4 midfielders, and it says here, according to Sport, that Kessie will be handed an important role in the coming weeks. He could be playing for his future at the club. So there is a lot of emphasis on Kessie for him to join that midfield. And that's what's going to lead us towards the next part of this video, which is going to be this question: how will Barcelona line up without Sergio Busquets and Dembele, 2 players who are currently injured? Because these are 2 fundamental players under Xavi Hernandez. Sergio Busquets has been having a very underrated season. Not many people are talking about how great Busquets has been this season. He has been the partner in crime for Frankie de Jong because they do form that double pivot. With Busquets being in that midfield with Frankie, Frankie is able to have more of freedom to do whatever he wants in the attack. So Busquets has been very important. And the same thing for Dembele. I do think that Dembele is the best winger in the world. He does now finally show up in terms of bringing goals, bringing assists. Even Xavi Hernandez did say he is our best player in 1v1 duels. Yes, we have Ferran Torres. Yes, we have Ansu Fati. Yes, we have Rafinha. But Xavi emphasized that Dembele is the number one. And so to lose these two players at a time like this, when we are also going to be facing Manchester United in about 3 or 5 days from today, it's going to be very important to get the lineups right. So we're probably going to be seeing two different lineups. I have no idea which one is going to be starting, but it is going to be coming down to these two. It's either going to be a front three of Ansu Fati, Lewandowski, and Rafinha on the right side, because remember, Dembele is not going to be there, and then our midfield being Frankie, Pedri, and Gavi, with our back four being Koundé on the right back position, Araujo and Christensen as our center back duo, with Alejandro Balde on the left back position. As for our second lineup that we could see start against Villarreal, it could be Gavi on the left, Lewandowski as a striker, and Rafinha on the right side, with Pedri, Frankie, and Kessie in the midfield, and then our back line being the exact same thing like I did say before. And then of course with Gavi, he's not going to be an actual left winger like someone like Ansu Fati. He's going to be a false left winger. He's going to be very inverted and joining the midfield with Kessie. And those are going to be the two interiors. The two players that will be behind Kessie and Gavi will be Frankie de Jong and Pedri. So that will be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.